Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. It's time to have a look at some changelogs which have come out over the last few days, and they fixed something which is very sad for me, and we'll get to it later on, but it's something that I've been doing for years as kind of a little trick in the game, and they've finally patched it out, which makes me very sad. We start off with update 2.37.0.88, and this update was massively dedicated to the interface and making it better. One of the great things about War Thunder, since it is constantly changing, a lot of parts of it are constantly improving, and the interface, if you look at it from 4, 5, 6 years ago, is completely different now and so much better. Even after the last updates, where they added a lot of functionality where you can move stuff around, which is really cool. The first one is a bug that caused the visual secondary weapon selector to display the armament of the previously flown aircraft in the mission after respawning in another aircraft has been fixed, which obviously would affect arcade, it would affect ground realistic as well, and probably a few other game modes too. That's a really weird bug and would obviously not be great. The visual secondary weapon thing, so one of the things that I think is obviously important for War Thunder is so it's made for as many people as possible. But when it comes to the visual secondary weapon thing, you obviously already have the multifunction menu, and you also have a bunch of other ways of changing your weapons around the place. Maybe it's easier for controllers to be able to select stuff in the visual secondary weapon thing, but I thought it was something that wasn't too much of an issue, so it is kind of odd to see it coming around. There was also a bug that caused the nuclear bomb carrying aircraft streak to not be available from the action bar on a gamepad controls has been fixed, so even if you got a nuke, you weren't able to select it, which is just rude, let's be honest. It's not very kind. Then we had a bug that caused the state of automatic gearboxes to not apply when loading a controls preset, and that's been fixed too. So you straight up just weren't able to control that, which kind of sucks. I need to give War Thunder a go on controller. I think I did it a lot of years ago, just to kind of get a feel for it, especially when we were looking into the console stuff and how it was all going to work. But I've been sat on my mouse and keyboard for so long, I think it would be a good idea to kind of re-look at all of this stuff and go from there. I think it would be very nice to do. There was also a bug that caused the custom order of crews to not be counted for in the window with the list of presets, and in the window with the information detailing a squad member's vehicles has been fixed too. I can't even tell what that sentence means. It's too early in the morning. I'm sure you guys know much more than I do. Jesus. A bug in the display of the groups in the tech tree that caused them to look vertically misaligned with a single vehicle has been fixed. Well, that would have done my head in, because when it comes to symmetry is one of those things which is super important to me when it comes to looking at stuff. So if things are slightly off, even by like a few pixels, it does my head in. So I'm very happy that they fixed that. Another thing to also mention is I really think they should improve the research of folded vehicles. So I know that they actually did a really good job with lowering the total research required to actually unlock a vehicle which is in a folder. But what I'd want them to do is go a step further. If you have the first vehicle in a folder spaded, so the one which is kind of, let's call it the one that you have to fully research in order to get access to the other ones, if you have that one spaded, why not have a bonus towards researching the other one's modifications? Because right now, the way that it works is if you research a folded vehicle, yes, it's like half off the research to be able to get it, but the modifications are still full cost compared to what the old cost used to be. So why not incentivize people to play them, especially if they've finished one of them, which, you know, is already there. So that's what I would do. I think that would be quite a lot of fun, and it would give people more incentive to play these kind of folded vehicles. Hopefully we get some research changes soon. Like, we've been waiting for a long time for, obviously, the one about the nations bonuses. But I feel like also there's been a lot of focus put on that one, but we haven't seen anything else in terms of reductions of RP on vehicles, even though they've added a ton of them. So hopefully soon we can get some of that too. There was also the following bugs with the empty vehicle presets have been fixed too. So the creation of an empty preset was possible only for Israel. The preset was not saved after removing the last vehicle from it. When the empty preset was selected, it was impossible to delete a preset or create a new one, and also the window for vehicle selection for the crew opened when switching to a nation has with a selected empty preset. So basically a standard empty error, which happens, it seems like a lot of computing stuff, where if there's supposed to be a value in something and there is no value in it, everything goes crazy. So luckily they fixed all that stuff. There was also a bug that caused a hint on hovering over the crew block in the crew selection window to display an extra overlapping small crew block, which has been fixed. I'm still having a little bit of an issue with the crew block stuff. And it might be down to the fact I have a really sensitive mouse. So I run a very high DPM because I don't have a ton of desk space, and I want to kind of whip around my my mouse a little bit, well, basically quicker in a small period. I'm also worried about carpal tunnel because of the fact that I do play a lot and stream a lot, so it is something that's always on my mind. When I was playing Enlisted a lot, one of the problems I was having was it would get to a point where after a few hours of playing, my wrist would really hurt. So I had to start getting the yin and yang balls out, and I had to start doing a lot of exercises, and that helped out, but it still was pretty rough. But in War Thunder, it's never been an issue because I don't move the mouse as much. It's also one of the reasons why people sometimes comment about the fact that I'm awful at shooting at long range, and usually it's because of how high sensitivity my mouse is. Sometimes it's very hard to actually, you know, aim at the target properly. But it also means that in areas like the crew here, because there's so much information packed into such a small area, it means that I misclick constantly on trying to click the right thing for the crew. And it's definitely something I can fix on my end, but it is just one of those things that's a little bit annoying. There was also a bug that caused the icon of an acquired coupon to be too small in the message window. That's been fixed too. And the number of backups is no longer displayed in custom battles in the mission block above the vehicle. Because I'm guessing in custom battles you can't bring in a backup anyway. Be kind of weird if you would. And this is the one which makes me sad. Okay, this is the killer. There's a hint in the battle that informed the player that there were non-distributed shells. This has been removed because it led to the players to believe it was bad when it wasn't. So basically, if you didn't take the full allocation of shells on a vehicle, it would pop up with a little box which was like, hey, you're not taking the full amount. Do you want to take the full amount? Now, you can also click don't show me this again. Now, over all of the years of War Thunder, I never clicked it, so it would appear every time. And the other day, it just, or well, yesterday, it just stopped appearing, and I was like, what's going on? And it's because they did this. They actually removed it. Now, the reason why they removed it, I think, is fair, because there is a lot of people who take full ammunition on vehicles when you just don't have to. Remember, in War Thunder, ammunition in ground vehicles is individually modeled. So if you have a total capacity of, let's say, 40 rounds, but you only take 20 rounds, that means only half of your ammo racks on your vehicle are filled. That means that your first stage is filled, and then whatever like secondary thing you have. If you bring all 40, that technically increases the size of your ammo rack and makes you a lot easier to explode. So there aren't many vehicles out there which are tanks that you actually want to take full ammo on. Most of them, it's actually better to take around 20, maybe 25 at most rounds, 15 on some even. Like a lot of Soviet MBTs I take 15 on just because, you know, it means that you don't get exploded as often. But yeah, it's one of those things where it would always pop up the box and ask if you want, you know, to take more. Now, this was something which had it did two separate things. So the first thing it did was that it allowed you to know whether you wanted to take more or not, and if you're okay with what was going on. The second thing is it would mean it would stop you automatically spawning into battle. So this was actually the key one. If you were like AFK, or if you were doing an emergency, or if you were just, you know, sorting something out, if it tried to spawn you in, because it will try and spawn you in after a specific period of time, and yeah, it would just plonk you in the battlefield. If you didn't have that option on that window clicked of don't show me this again, instead of spawning you into the battle, it would spawn you into that. So you wouldn't actually spawn. You would just be stuck on that screen until you clicked it, and then it let you in the battle. So it was a way of making sure that you didn't spawn when you didn't want to. And unfortunately now, it's gone. So that little trick, along with many others, have been removed. There's also an information in the mission block for vehicles, which are not available since the beginning of the battle. That's been removed to reduce clutter on the screen. There is quite a lot of clutter nowadays. They're definitely adding a ton of it, but I think in general, you know, it's going okay. And then also, in the crew training window in the qualification section, icons for crew qualifications have been added to their names for better clarity, which is fine, but once again, it's a lot of information in a very tiny box. And as somebody who once again runs pretty high sensitivity, I fly over it all the time and misclick all the time. There's also another update today, 2.37.0.91, and this was just fixing a bug that they introduced yesterday. Basically, you weren't able to use universal backups to respawn in battle, and obviously that sucks, because that's the whole point of universal backups. So they fixed that. They broke it yesterday and fixed it today. It was working before now, but luckily it's all sorted, so you can use them once again. So, a lot of interface changes the last few days, all pretty positive, apart from the ammo one. That just makes me sad, because it's another reminder that we no longer are in old War Thunder. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.